Alright, so basically today's video is going to be going around discussing like how when you look at it, quite frankly, Gen Z is heading to a place where we're quite screwed, Like, you look at it from an economical, social, even from like birth rate wise, population decline is there. It's inevitable. You want to go out, you can't even afford it. Many places they've instilled like these stupid curfews for children, for kids who are like 17 or younger. Like, for example, like my local mall basically has a curfew instilled like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that if you're 17 or younger, you can't even be there without an accompanying adult who's 21 or older after 4 p.m., which quite frankly, like the death of the third places. And for those of you who don't know what the third place is, it's just essentially a place to meet and socialize with others outside of work and school. The death of third places is real, and it's greatly contributed to the fact that many, Gen Z males, females are struggling to, make friends, hang out, have social time outside of school and work. And a lot of these people what they're doing to substitute this matter is, spend time on their phone, social media, doom scrolling, streamers too. That's why we've seen such a huge rise of streamers, is because a lot of these people who watch these streamers feel like they can have a personable relationship with them because it's live. It's more the relationship between the viewer and the creator is more intimate. So a lot of people are substituting the time they would hang out with others and watch these streamers. And adding on to the fact that a lot of these young adults, young teenagers are spending their time on, Kick, Twitch, Rumble. You also got to add in the fact that there's also people whose entire social lives reside on like Discord, where they talk for hours on end to people online with little to no face-to-face interaction. And I think that's something, as we continue going on, and especially with the rise of AI and people spending more time on their screens, we're going to see a lot of common social interactions kind of just disappear. You can kind of already see this with what happened with COVID. A lot of people pre-COVID were, society was somewhat normal, but COVID came and a lot of friendships deteriorated. People lacked common ways to interact with others, and I just think that technology is only going to add on to the rise of socialness declining. Moving on to the economic sector and how the economy right now isn't the best for the college graduate, the Gen Z graduate. Just as of 2025, only 30% of people had secured full-time job offers related to their degree, as opposed to 41% of the 2024 graduates. And this kind of just shows that why even go to college now, because 20 to 30, even 10 years ago, people were coming out of college with a job immediately lined up. And let alone the fact that these people that are graduating college are also going on to take on debt, whether it be federal loans, non-federal loans. So it's really just it's not looking bright out there financially as well. If let alone people want to buy a house in their mid-20s, it's virtually impossible now, with the average house across the nation costing $500,000, not including insurance, utility bills, mortgage rates. It's kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't want to call it a doomer mindset, but in reality that's where someone around the ages of 21, 22 just graduating, not being able to secure a full-time job offer. And then you see that a lot of these jobs that they say are being replaced by AI are actually being offshore to third world countries like India. And then you have a lot of these jobs that should be applicable and open to U.S. citizens are strictly being hidden from them and only being given to H-1B candidates. And the thing is, I have nothing against H-1B candidates, but the reason these companies are hiring H-1B candidates is because they can hire them on lower wages and also subject them to super long work hours, because their stay in the U.S. is dependent upon their work. So that's why they're okay with putting up to these long hours. But at the end of the day, these jobs should be going to U.S. citizens and not, H-1B visa holders, because how are you supposed to contribute to the economy as a U.S. citizen, someone who just graduated college, pay off your debt, start a family, if you have your means of access of acquiring a job being completely cut off? So I just think that, when you look at the social setting of our society now, the economic disparity between boomers and Gen Z, and, going to college, trying to get a job, the house market, you can't even go outside and find a place to hang out with your friends at the mall without an accompanying adult. Like, even when I was younger, I was able to do so. The kids nowadays, they have no choice but to stay. They can't even go to the mall. They have to stay home. Like, a lot of these places are pay to play. Like, a lot of these jobs are being outsourced as well. So it's quite sad to where we're heading as a society. But I do ultimately think that, things will get better. Younger people are waking up, speaking up more on these issues, becoming more educated. And I don't know. It just, a lot of me kind of like, it's quite crazy to think about it, Like, the early 2000s, no one would have thought we would end up where we are today. Like, I don't know. And this isn't just a phenomenon occurring in, like, America. Quite frankly, it's even worse in Europe and stuff. Like, if you look at the birth rates all throughout Europe, a lot of them are significantly declining due to, being able to afford and raise a family is quite nearly impossible. Like, you already have super high taxes in Europe, and the jobs are not there. And then you have, like, mass migration that a lot of companies rolled out in 2016, 17, 18. If you look at countries like Norway, they actually solely brought in asylee immigrants, and a lot of these immigrants are coming in and not really contributing to the economy, because, as you know, Norway, they have a really good set up for welfare, and they have really good maternal leave laws, like free education, this, that. But the issue is when you bring in a lot of these immigrants from these asylee countries, chances are they're not they haven't achieved education in the sense of higher education. They're not coming in. They're not bringing in the skilled workers. They're not bringing in college graduates. So a lot of these immigrants themselves find a hard time to get a job. So as a means of surviving, they just survive off the government and welfare. And it's not like they're going to contribute to the economy. And it's just, it's quite interesting, really, to see that this isn't, Norway was one example, but it's occurring in a lot of Europe, like the censorship laws you see in the UK now. If you post something on Facebook like that the government doesn't like, they can show up to your house. It's kind of scary. I saw the other day on X that there's talks of the UK trying to ban X, and you have that law in Australia where they just imposed where 16 and younger can't even access the internet anymore. They can't access social media. And it's kind of a strange thing, because you allow these young kids to become, addicted to this short form content, to this quick dopamine release, and you kind of cut them off. Like, of course there's going to be consequences to those actions. So I don't know, it'll be interesting to see where we end up in 5 to 10 years. But like I said, there is hope. There is hope for sure. It just depends on how Gen Z identifies these issues and approaches them in a manner to where you can really make living the quote unquote American dream applicable again. to many Americans. Yeah, but anyway, that's all for the video today. But be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments, and feel free to let me know any other topics you would like me to talk about. And I'm thinking about starting a live stream soon on Kick or Twitch. I don't know. I feel like Kick is definitely more viable option because of their pretty much you can say whatever you want on Kick, and Twitch has a lot of iffy TOS guidelines and stuff. But yeah, anyway, thank you. This was the Walking Propaganda.